Call of Duty World War II's beta is just days away, and with the information we know so far about the upcoming Call of Duty World War II game set to come out this November, is the game worth your money? Hey guys, it's Elijah from Rocket Sloth, and today we're going to be taking a look at everything we know about Call of Duty World War II and evaluate whether or not this Call of Duty is actually worth picking up. Let's get into it. So the first thing we need to understand is that Call of Duty, for the most part, is in a very awkward place. The last 3 Call of Duty games have gotten mostly controversial responses as far as the community was concerned. This is mostly due to the change in movement structure, where players now have an extra jump, abilities to run on walls and fly across the map, the addition of weapon variants that can kind of make the game a little bit more pay to win, and Activision's overall lack of listening to the community. And while the last 3 Call of Duty games haven't been all that bad, each Call of Duty having its own feature that was somewhat okay, we can all agree that Call of Duty is not at all close to where it once was during its glory days. So with the main key issues that Call of Duty has had over the past couple of years, what is Call of Duty World War II doing differently? Well, they are going back to boots on the ground, getting rid of all the wall running, double jumping, and all of the stuff that most older players did not appreciate. They're going back to a historical time period, something we have not seen since Call of Duty World at War, which was back in 2008. They are removing the gun variants and they're focusing just on the core array of weapons from the World War II period. And they're overhauling the class system to try to make the game a little bit newer and fresher while still holding on to a lot of the elements from past Call of Duty games. Of course, Call of Duty has not come out yet at the time of this video, so everything we are going to be talking about from here on out is just speculation and analysis. So we will talk about this more when the game actually comes out and we can give you a for sure whether or not you should buy it. But this is what we know so far. Sledgehammer Games, the developer of this next Call of Duty game, has only made one Call of Duty game before, which was Advanced Warfare, the first game to overhaul the movement system. And while it's controversial, the actual ideas and implementation of the movement system, as a lot of people don't like the new movement, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Sledgehammer Games set out to do something and they executed it, whether the community liked it or not. They wanted to make Call of Duty fresh and different, and people were complaining about Call of Duty being the same thing every year, and they set out to make a new movement system, and they did it, and it actually worked. The game was playable, it was mostly balanced other than the weapon variations that came out in that game and later Call of Duties. And while future Call of Duties refined on the movement system, restricting how much movement you actually have, Advanced Warfare was at least different, and Sledgehammer Games did what they said they were going to do. So, while I'm not a fan of the advanced movement, I am optimistic that because Sledgehammer Games did what they said they were going to do, they achieved the objective that they had set, I'm hopeful that their goals in making a World War II Call of Duty will be successful. I do not believe, however, the Call of Duty community will ever get back to where it once was in its heyday, because I think everyone, for the most part, has a different opinion on when Call of Duty was its best. A lot of people loved Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and a lot of people loved Call of Duty World at War, myself included. A lot of people like Modern Warfare 2, a lot of people like Black Ops, and for those individual people, those were the days that Call of Duty was at its prime. And even during all of those later releases that were still deemed good in the community, people still held on to their favorite Call of Duty. I remember when Black Ops 1 came out, I was still hopeful we would have more World at War days to come, and it only had been 2 years. So while I, being a huge World at War fan, I'm super excited to see Call of Duty go back to its World War II roots, I do understand that this next Call of Duty game will not be World at War. It won't be that old Call of Duty game that I once knew and loved. This is going to be something completely different, but I am optimistic because it's going back to the boots on ground and it's refining on a lot of things that people didn't like. On top of this, one major thing that not a lot of people are talking about is how the failure that was Infinite Warfare, sales-wise, will impact Call of Duty World War II. This is Activision's safest bet with the next Call of Duty game. Infinite Warfare, the community was not behind it, it was not supportive, they ignored the community, and it resulted in a huge loss of sales. Hopefully, because World War II is something the community wants, Activision might be actually listening to its fans, and maybe they'll start making a shift to realize that their consumers need to be heard. So far, for the most part, Call of Duty World War II is getting some good support. Sure, there's some criticisms, such as the fact that there's females in multiplayer, and there's no swastikas, which is an important aspect historically wise for a World War II era of a game. But at the same time, they're making arguments that they're going to be in the campaign and they just keep it out of multiplayer because certain countries have region locks on that type of stuff. And honestly, it's multiplayer. It doesn't make too much of a difference how historically accurate multiplayer is, as long as the single player narrative holds on to some of those accuracies. But those are my thoughts. This is a completely opinionated view. So if I had to say right now whether or not Call of Duty World War II is worth it, I would say it is, even though the game's not out yet and we don't know anything about it. Check back in a couple months. But those are just my opinions. This is a very opinionated video, clearly. You can leave your comment down below if you agree or disagree with me. I'm always open to dialogue. I read every single one of my comments. And be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And while this video is over, be sure to subscribe to Rocket Sloth for more gaming discussion, gaming news, and top lists here at your new #1 source for all things gaming.